Hello everyone, welcome back again to your weekly astrological transits. So this one's for June 9th through the 3rd, and again it's another packed week full of just so many transitions, aspects coming from the moon to the other planets. But we do have the new moon in Gemini coming in, I think it's on Thursday if I remember correctly, and Mars moving into Taurus. So that should calm things down a bit, coming out of Aries into Taurus. Whew, we can only do so many new things in 1 week, right? Or at least get the impetus going. So, but anyway, I think this week will be more calm, but it's just definitely full. It's packed full. So let me bring you over my table. We'll get through this one day at a time. Hold on. Okay, so if there's only one thing you hear from me or get from me out of this one for this week, please consider the power of the word, and especially in regards to your intentions that you want to start putting out there right away, because this is the build-up to the new moon in Gemini. So you can see we're starting out with the moon in Taurus on Monday, and I have this chart set at way super early, 12:37 a.m. Pacific time, because that is when Mercury moves into Gemini. And so yeah, I know you're going to watch this sooner. You know, a lot of you watch it right as soon as I get it uploaded today, which is the Thursday before. So that means that Gemini would still be back here in Taurus, just having crossed over Uranus and picked up something deeply valuable. When we're in the sign of Taurus, it's all about values. Mercury brings through messages, and Uranus can help us wake up. And we also have, so before I get into the Gemini, let's check it. Let's look at the longer term transits. I didn't figure out how far beyond this week it goes, but if you can see here, if I do this, if you can see Eris right here at 25 degrees of Aries, and we have a semi-sextile coming over here to Uranus all week long. And Uranus at this later degree of Taurus is bringing through, you know, that deepening lesson. We've gone through learning the lessons, and now we have those lessons deeply inside of us, and what are we going to do with them? So remember, some of the key words for Uranus is, bottom line, the awakener. It's our change agent. It has to do with technology. It has to do with astrology. It has to do with becoming very, very independent. It rules Aquarius, and of course, you know, artificial intelligence, all that stuff. But what we want to do with, you know, with the planet Uranus, or what what most Uranus wants us to take from him, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's a him. I mean, if I have to name it, it's a masculine energy. It wants us to wake up. It wants us to free ourselves. And it can be disruption. It can bring through sudden changes and reversals of fortune. We're hoping for some of these dark politicians, you know who I'm talking about. And, you know, the dudes on Scrotus. But it's also, because it can be shocking, right? You know, Aquarius is a planet of shocks. So it can be electricity, it can be all those different things. Well, but with Mercury, it's more about having Mercury crossed over, and I had a little time with it. It's more about messages from the divine. And Mercury and Uranus together is known as the divine mind. You know, if you have that natally in your chart, your tendency is to want to get to the truth and the freedom, and your thinking goes, and it might go too quickly a lot of times. I have it in, and it's often My mouth can't catch up with the words in my head or the thoughts in my head. They come in as like these big pictures. And to explain what I have in my head or what's coming in through my communication channel, so it's more than my head has to get out through my fifth chakra, I sometimes really, really suck at that. And it's because I have Mercury retrograde. But anyway, for now, we don't have Mercury retrograde, and it had all this time for this, powwow with Uranus in Taurus, bringing through safety, bringing through the principles that we're faithful to. I'm speaking now to Taurus. Things that make us feel safe and secure, most of all. And what do we really, truly value in our lives? So now we have a better idea, or at least by Monday, we'll have, well, even before then, but for sure on Monday morning, now Mercury is going to start bringing through the ability to learn something even new. So you know what you want with your Uranus, and Mercury having spoke to Uranus as it crossed over. We got lots of messages. We know what we want. We know what our principles are. We're holding on steadfastly. We don't want to be pushed, and we don't like being bullied, and we don't want to also, be stuck. So, with Uranus and Taurus, it's pretty much bringing in all this transit, 7 years in one sign, right? So this transit of Uranus and Taurus is there primarily to help any person with a lot of Taurus energy get unstuck, which is great. It'll help us to open up into things where we can objectively see the truth. It's all about intuition. Uranus rules intuition, and the place where we can detach from where we were stuck before, because now we have a new idea. It's very conceptual. And we've also had Pluto in Aquarius helping us with that too, because Pluto definitely creates movement, but it's slower and deeper and sometimes more unconscious. But it'll help you wake up just as well. So with Uranus and Taurus, and all you have to do is think back. We went through COVID. We had vaccines created. That was innovation that brought in safety literally into the body. Taurus rules the body. Taurus is all about survival, right? Remember, Aries is like, I'm here. And then Taurus is like, oh, crap, I have this body. Oh man, I got to take care of this, right? So it's steadying. It's fixed energy. But now here we are with all this Gemini energy coming through. Now we still have the moon today. We still have some Mercury's in Gemini, but the moon, again, moon, body, psyche, soul, in the sign of body, psyche, soul. Not so much psyche, body. It would be more like body, self-preservation, values, security, safety, right? And again, those faithful principles. So for the next 2.5 days or so, the moon in Taurus is going to go through all those stages. So this first stage is about developing a foundation. So what's the foundation geared towards? We can safely say it is our steadfast self-preservation. It can also be very patient. The only way we can really get in trouble with Taurus, especially the moon in Taurus, would be to be too focused on luxury. Now, creating beauty around the home can be done with very little money. Cleanliness, tidiness, everything has its own place, things like that. That's something Taurus can really get behind, especially if you have any Virgo energy, because there's that natural trine. And then, of course, the other trine to Capricorn, which wants to get her done. So with the moon in Taurus for the next day and a half, 2.5 days, we can expect that we are going to be feeling pretty darn, it might be a little bit driven, but patient to get to a very solid place. And we're going to be very determined to get to a solid place. And we're going to want to we will just keep wanting to build upon figuring out what can I trust, who can I trust, and from there we go. With the square up to in this first, the first stages, the first decan, getting through those first 10 degrees. Actually, we're 2 degrees in already because it starts with 0. Now we're at 1 this morning. And this is where we left off, with last Sunday. And we're in that up to 9 degrees. We're in that developing foundation. 0 to 9 degrees is the first decan, and it is about developing a foundation. So again, with Taurus, it'll be a foundation that we can trust. That's what we're wanting to build. Now, Pluto over here in Aquarius, if we're going to look at this on the dark side, we're talking Justice Alito, or I should say Unjustice Alito and Thomas, who definitely need to recuse themselves, but they never will. And in fact, Alito came out and said, no, I will not recuse myself from any January 6 cases. So he is setting himself up. You know what? I did find his birth information. I just don't know if I have time to do his chart, but the deal is he and anyone else who are not playing along with the laws of brotherhood and sisterhood, which is what Aquarius requires. We're talking spiritual laws here, the law of brotherhood and sisterhood, spiritual principles. The moon in Taurus really wants those steadfast spiritual principles. We want something we can count on. Now, we might not get everything we want in one lifetime, and we're going to just need to trust the fact that we have eons of lifetimes in order to heal, in order to come back home to who we truly are. He, Alito, and all of these other assholes, I'll say it, that want to go against the law of brotherhood and sisterhood, they don't believe in reincarnation, which is why they think that they just have to get everything they can this lifetime and control everything. There's so much fear locked up in their souls, and they're in this zero-sum game. They think that if you have a lot, they have less. It's just so, it's spiritually... it's backwards. It's completely backwards. So this is the challenge that they're up against. But for us, this is just this tension field that we're in, and this square can definitely turn into a strength once we figure out what's going on. And by the time the moon makes it to, that 9 degrees of Taurus over the next couple of days, the next day, might even be less than that, actually, because we're starting this chart up here at just a little after midnight. It's very, very possible that we've got that strong foundation built within us, but we're seeing something in the outer world. See, that's the thing with astrology, another one of those rules that you have to just kind of hold in your consciousness, and hopefully you'll remember this or write it down, that the transits aren't doing anything to us. They're in alignment with the laws of love, and this is like life doing for us. It's setting up the opportunities to get in alignment with the laws of love, the spiritual laws, and because the laws of love are also the laws of truth, ultimate absolute truth. But we have, our own personal truth that gets all mixed up in it. And our personal truth is all the awful things that we've gone through. And we have really good reason to hold these resentments and these grudges and blah, 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 right? But the deal is when you get in alignment with the spiritual laws, then everything starts working out and life works for you. And you can move a lot in between those struggles of constructive and destructive attitudes, but the more your positive intention is, if you commit and you have a positive intention to get in alignment with the laws of love, then and you keep working it, your energy wraps around those those deeper intent, well, any intention, the energy will wrap around and take you into that realm. And if it's a negative realm, let's say it's negative intention, then you'll have lessons to help you learn that, oh, I created that. If you're smart. This is how we know that the dumbest man on the planet has got to be Donald John Trump. Because all he does, the dude is pushing 80 and he has yet to figure out that he has created, or maybe he does know, maybe he does know that he's created his own reality. And maybe he's just working that. Probably this is the truth. Probably he knows he's created it, but he's used it to grift. He's used it to make money. So there you are again, in alignment with, out of alignment with the laws of brotherhood and sisterhood. We don't grift off of each other. We don't try to take advantage of each other. We give to each other. So, for us to get the most out of the transits and take advantage of the opportunities, we have to set intentions. So that's what I'm saying. Again, let's set our intentions. Let's start now to set our intentions for what we want to receive between now and the next full moon. And I'm going to guess it'll be in Sag. I don't have my list close by. Do I? Wait, hold on. Actually, I do. Oh, if I can reach it. Hold on. Oh, no, I lied. The next full moon will be, sometimes it goes a little bit further. Because the moon goes like what they call void of course and things like that. But I don't pay any attention to that because I know that the moon knows which way it's going. Void of course doesn't mean it's off course. It just means it's taking a little longer to stay in one, or catching up and integrating with one sign before it completely goes into the next. But anyway, the next full moon will be June 21st, 6:08 p.m. Pacific, and it will be at 1 degree Capricorn. So, that's pretty darn good, actually, because that is really a manifestation sign, a sign of manifestation. But meanwhile, the moon will move, through all of these other signs, and it'll pick up Virgo over here before it makes it up to Capricorn, or makes it around to Capricorn. So anyway, whatever house that Gemini falls in, and it'll be, the new moon will be at 16 degrees Gemini, so it'll cross over. The sun will have moved. It'll be Thursday, and the sun will have moved, 3 degrees, and the new moon will be right there with it. And that comes in at 6:36 a.m. But I'll show you that chart when we get there. 5:38, because it's also going to hit up Venus. That's the thing is, so. Here's the moon now. We're going to go, of course, through the whole sign of Taurus. The moon's going to hook up with Uranus. Maybe something shocking with the public will come through, or something to help the public wake up to what's going on. More people, more and more, can determine themselves to get away from these dirty politicians. But then again, we've got the gullibility going on. So what can we say? There's nothing we could do. Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Everything that we will ever need to know to get into alignment with spiritual law is out there already. We have astrology, we have the tarot, we have so many, we have all the channeled works of Eva Paracos with the Pathwork lectures. We have, what was her name, Jay-Z Knight was she the one that did Seth, or was she, I can't remember. There was Seth Speaks. There's been our sweetheart, I can't remember, Esther Hicks. And now she's learned through her own humanity, these other people that channeled great works. And then, of course, there's Dolores Cannon. But the deal is, there's no perfect channel, and their human filter gets in the way sometimes. So you kind of just have to take what works for you, and you can always, try out things later on. But so anyway, everything we need to know it's out there already. So we don't need to we don't need to be yelling and telling these people, certain things. We can just go our own way and know that Sometimes you just can't fix stupid. You can't, and we shouldn't be trying to fix anyone anyway. But the information's out there for them. And with this stellium in Gemini and the new moon coming through, there can be more and more and more people. So I shouldn't say stupid. What I should say is just send them love and pray that they find the truth. Their truth and the truth. Their personal truth, their real self, their higher self, and then, absolute truth. So anyway, and then actually, with the sun sextile the North Node, there is the opportunity there for that today. There really is. And now with Mercury moving into Gemini, there should be a lot more people who are wanting to learn. They are more curious. The beautiful things about Gemini have to do with a healthy curiosity and asking questions from all different angles, especially to understand how other people are thinking, how other people's minds work. And then, you can just see with the symbol here, I've got the two. So, excuse me. So seeing both sides of a situation, right? Being pretty diplomatic and seeing both sides. And then knowing that, well, they're also very logical too. And they usually have pretty good tact. And then there can be a lot of communication as to what's going on internally that can be really good with Gemini. Like imagine a psychologist or a therapist with a lot of Gemini, but also a healthy dose of Scorpio, and they ask questions and go deeper. And then maybe there's a lot of Taurus and Libra, so they're really good at listening and staying present. Now, all of that can be set up within those houses. So anyway, those are some of the hallmarks when you're looking for vocation in a natal chart, which I love doing. But yeah, so Geminis, they're good at listening too. They're very good at listening, and they're usually on the light side, working in the light. They're open to new ideas and experiences, and seeking out the facts. Getting the facts before they make any decision. So that's what this stellium is offering to us. And with Mercury close to Jupiter, and of course Mercury moves really quick, so it's going to catch up this week. And cross over Jupiter and Venus. Venus is so close to the Sun already. This is wanting union with the second decan being involved. So the 10 to 19 degrees of any sign is the second decan, and that is when we're learning lessons. So the lessons being learned this time have to do with, okay, we've gathered some information. Now what? So, and I'm expecting that the jury deliberations will be done maybe tomorrow, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. It's the laws in the state of New York that has caused Judge Merchant to, or Merchant is actually how you pronounce his name. He's Colombian. But he lets you call him whatever he wants or whatever you want. He doesn't care. He's such a sweet guy. But anyway, the squirrel moment there. So there's a New York State law that doesn't allow the jury instructions coming from the judge to be printed out or written up or handed over. They have to be given orally, and it took him about an hour to do that. And if they have any questions and they haven't been able to remember, they can take notes, but if they haven't gotten it right or they don't understand, they have to come back in and ask the judge. So they're going back and forth, basically. That's a very, very, very Gemini trait, right? Like, okay, wait, I'm learning this. I think I'm growing, Jupiter, growing and understanding, growing and learning, but I'm not positive. So I want more with Venus. Where it's our planet of indulgence, So we're going to indulge in lots of information, but the sun is, we're right there in that middle decan of learning lessons, and so taking in all this information. So it's a really beautiful thing that's happening. We just have to be patient. Now with the moon in Taurus, we will be more patient. I can't say that Uranus and Taurus, that combination is ever patient. I just can't say that Uranus is patient. But then again, it takes 7 years to make it through one sign, so we have to trust that it will come through. So, and then we can also see today that we have the aspect of the architect hitting up both nodes, right? So the sun on Monday, now maybe this is the day when the information comes up. Maybe the jury does go home over the weekend and then they come back on Monday. I'm not sure. I can't say for sure. I just believe that he will be found guilty based on the grand tableau that I did on it. Or wait, did I do it? Yeah, I did. That's right. I did a short reading with the Kipper, and then I did a Kipper grand tableau. And I remember, Trump was down here and facing, I did have the imprisonment card. I think the fatality, the coffin card looked like a painful restriction of some type. But of course, he'll appeal it. So there's that. Yeah. So anyway, the trine coming from the sun. So remember, the sun is shining a spotlight. It's illuminating something for us. It's helping us to focus in with Gemini into information and communication. It's making us aware of something. It's bringing things to our attention. And the sun can also, connect with authorities. So this would be the judges. This would be the jury. The jury is the authority in this. It's the people, right, that are the authorities in. When we go to a trial, it's up to the jury. It's not up to the judge. It's up to the jury. So, but of course, they're all working together to try and get to the truth. But with this trine to the South Node in Libra, they're looking at the past. So there's on Monday, early, the sun is shining a light right into, within less than 1 degree here, into the past. And then so the sun's at the hinge point, and then the sextile over to the south. The north node brings in, the sextile always brings in an opportunity. So the opportunity is to create something new with it being in Aries. Something that's daring, something that inserts something new that needs to be put out there. And it's, usually, the dark side of Aries would be impulsiveness, especially projection from abandonment issues. So if you're having any things like that come up with the sun in Gemini, there can be some new ideas. So maybe there's some old ideas, and now there's the opportunity to shine a light. Well, you can't heal a false belief unless you know what it is first. So for us personally, if you've been working on any old relationship issues, you're now able to, especially, this week, well, I'm doing this reading, like I said, the Thursday before this Monday, so you've got lots of time to work this through. And on Monday or Tuesday, especially, between Monday and Tuesday, you can have a real beautiful opening to balance out the soul substance that was caught up in the past and move forward into something brand new. And, Chiron is far enough away from the North Node, although the nodes do move backwards, but, and we've had so much, we had Chiron connect with the North Node already, so it's hooking up with Eris now. So there's a lot of courage to go forward, to become independent of your past. That would be how to balance out the nodes. with the, between Aries and Libra, the Aries-Libra dynamic. So, yeah, okay, now, again, just a reminder, start figuring out what you really, really want. Start writing up intention or affirmations around your intention. Let's say, for instance, you decide you really want to love your body. You really want to learn how to love your body and stop any body shaming that you picked up when you were a kid, when you were a teenager, when you were growing up. Maybe you're going to stop shaming your body. Maybe you're going to learn to really, really love your body and how well it has worked and is working for you. And with the moon in Taurus, this is the perfect time to do that. But what you would do would be to start treating your body better as best you can, and you would write up some affirmations about how much you love your body and start noticing every day how well it works for you. All these automatic things it does, you don't have to tell your heart to beat. You might have to say, oh, stop, take a deep breath, but you really don't have to tell yourself to breathe. You don't have to tell your blood to flow. You don't have to, everything these things that we can take for granted are immense. So, yeah, and with the moon square Pluto and Aquarius on the dark side being about objectification, we could be in that tension field of trying to heal body objectification. So that could be something that you might be working on. But anyway, let me tune in for just a little bit more with, or did I even talk about it? It's in the back of my mind, but with Eris here at 25 degrees, and then we have a semi-sextile over here to Uranus. We have a 30-degree aspect. A semi-sextile is a half of a sextile. So with the sextile here with the sun to the north node, that's that opportunity to move forward in some brand new territory. But this Eris semi-sextile Uranus is, this is lasting more than this week. I think I did touch on it, but I didn't really talk about it. So Eris, remember, is our feminine courage, feminine counterpoint. Takes 558 years to get around the zodiac. It's our very strong feminine counterpart to Pluto and Mars. Mars is considered like Pluto's little brother. Eris she's the top dog. She's the feminine kick butt, not taking anything from anybody, and she'll just fight and fight and fight in order to be more independent. And so this is this fearless way to assert your, your like whatever you need to fight for in your life. The courage is there, and it can be kind of shocking in relationship. Sometimes it just depends, but because of Uranus here. But anyway, a semi-sextile is, how we have the sextile is always an opportunity. Well, the semi-sextile is that gradual effort in between the opportunity, and it's that gradual effort that you keep, doing, the work that you keep doing to build and to manifest. So that's why you can't just think and wish. You have to work, right? Unless it's something you've been, you come in with these natural gifts and you think that, I don't know how I know how to do that, but I just knew, or I knew not to do that because I saw my parents do it, and you know what I mean? Like, well, trust me, I believe you learned and earned and deserve all of those natural gifts from your past life experience. I think you already worked through whatever those issues were, and that's why it comes through naturally this lifetime. So anyway, okay, now you can also see another little semi-sextile right here coming from the moon to Mercury. And it also it's going to start including Jupiter. It's going to keep tracking this way. So when we're talking from the moon to Mercury, there you are again with thinking outside the box, especially with Pluto up here in Aquarius. There's support to think outside the box when you're thinking about your body. Remember, your body doesn't have a sense of humor. You know, the subconscious doesn't have a sense of humor. That's all in our minds, which is good. I love a good sense of humor. But if we're putting our bodies down and making jokes about our body and things like that, we just have to remember that our body isn't probably going to be in alignment with that because there's no sense of humor there, right? So, okay. So I think I've covered that. Mars is at this last, I mean, look how Mars has now made it right on the other side of Eris and in that last decan. So we're in that phase of deepening something very, very powerful that we will fight for. This is this buildup, you know, for the 2024 Rovember. And yeah, just wait. You know, it cracks me up listening to these idiots try to, well, I shouldn't call them names, but talking about the polls, you know, and then they're talking about a 1% margin. Well, but they're already within 3 and 5% either way of a margin of error anyway. The polls don't work. They don't, I mean, it just, yeah. People they already know who they're voting for. And there's probably some that are on the fence, and that might be, worked through with this stellium in Gemini. Yeah. And Jupiter will still be in Gemini in the November election. Venus and Mercury will have moved on, of course, and the Sun, of course, will be in Scorpio. So, but anyway, okay, let me focus in. The trine we have going on here is coming from Pluto to Jupiter. That's really beautiful. It's going to be, now this is today, and of course Mercury will be coming up next. So Jupiter trine Pluto. Jupiter is imbuing Pluto. Well, Pluto's up here holding space in Aquarius for thinking outside the box, getting in alignment with the law of brotherhood and sisterhood. And I've spoken so much about Uranus and Aquarius already that I think I can skip over that. And well, let's just bring in Jupiter. Jupiter is the opening up to spiritual law. Jupiter in Gemini is learning more about spiritual law and natural law and man-made law. And so if we set our intentions for the Gemini new moon within this like super conjunction, the moon will be over here within the middle of it, this major stellium super conjunction, including Jupiter, that can help us to grow, that can help us to have an expansive, maybe a new level of faith in ourselves, because Jupiter definitely relates to our belief systems. And it's all about abundance and has a lot of inspiration. It's like our spiritual guides that are always leading us, our cheerleaders. and then, Jupiter's all about wisdom as well. So wisdom, truth, studying, higher mind. I'm trying to think of other keywords for Jupiter. Having an expansive outlook. Having a lot of optimism to look for like those new horizons. Hope and faith. Until we have faith in ourselves, we have a lot of hope. Until we have faith in others, we still, we have a lot of hope. And sometimes when it comes to other people, we are, very disappointed. But, no one's perfect. We're all a work in progress, aren't we? So, okay, so with that connection to Pluto, we can have all these Jupiterian, these really beautiful qualities that can be very transformational with that trine there. Now, trines are connections. They're not always so graceful and, wonderful and in harmony like we want to. Sometimes it's just a connection. And it can blow up on you with Jupiter if you're in excess. So if you're not doing your Taurian work you know, handling the daily things, or with Ceres up here in Capricorn, if you're not doing your work, if you're not organizing, if you're not getting yourself together, if you're not focused on your goals, if you're not constructing a plan and shaping the opportunities of life for yourself, then you might be going to sleep with way too much on your mind. So be very, very careful what you give your energy to, and make a lot of lists, write things down. And then when you lay down to go to sleep, you can let your mind go, because you know you already have your list made. There's no reason to think about it now. You might get guidance in dream time and then add it to the list. That's all very possible with Pluto connection, because Pluto is very powerful into the hidden depths. So we're talking dream time. As well as Neptune at that nth degree, that anaretic degree in Pisces. Neptune and Pisces, super, super strong when it comes to dream time. And we do have, you can see the sextile there to Mercury. So there's communication, learning something new in dream time. It's not exact today, but you can see that Jupiter's there too. So, yeah. There's also a semi-square coming from the North Node to Mercury. Yeah, so that reinforces what I just said. Semi-squares bring in the need to do something. Action is needed, otherwise your mind, in Mercury, in this case, with this connection, if you, just suffice to say, the short answer here is if you don't learn what you need to learn, write it down, analyze it, understand what's going on, or at least capture the information, you won't feel like you're going in the right direction, and it's going to nag you. There's going to be a mental little nagging. So, yeah, that's it. Like, let's say, I don't know, let's say you want to write a book, or you want to, I don't know, something. I'm trying to think of like Gemini and eye-hand coordination. Gemini rules the lungs and the arms and the shoulders, but it's also ruled by Mercury, which rules the neck and the throat, and all of that has to do with eye-hand coordination as well, because that's the way they hook up. So if you're wanting to write a book, but you haven't thought through how to do it, and let's say you don't know how to type. Let's say you don't know how to touch type, and it would just be too ridiculously, well, okay, so you have choices. Mercury and Gemini bring in choice. They're so connected to choice. You're going to have to, if you want to write a book, you're going to have to decide how you get your word, and remember, power of the word right here. Power, words. You're going to have to figure out how to get the power of your words into print. So you can do it by typing. If you don't want to learn how to touch type, if you don't know how and you don't want to learn how to touch type, then you're going to have to rely on voice memos that you can put into documents or into emails, and then send the emails to yourself, and then cut and paste it into a document that will turn into your book, right? You're going to have to take the action, the semi-square here, take the action to figure out how to do that, how to bring the power of your word. And then from there, it all goes well. But if you don't, you're going to be laying there asleep at night going, why am I awake? What's bugging me? You're going to have to figure out what's bugging you first. And when you're tired, your mind's not working, very well anyway, and it can take some time to just let go, right? So do your work during the day to help get on your path, so that you can really sleep and relax at night and open up to dreamtime guidance. Okay, we also have this sesquisquare here coming from the South Node to Mercury today, and this has to do with an adjustment, well, not to, The adjustment hasn't come in yet because it's not 150 degrees yet, but it has to do with there's like some friction, there's some indecision. There can be a disruption that comes through with this oh my God, sesquisquadrate. It can be. And then other times not. Sometimes it's stubbornness. But the disruption can come through because of the stubbornness. But because we're dealing with two air signs here, I'm feeling like it's a mental thing, and it could have to do with relationships. So if we can just figure out what it is, because relationships are mirrors. So figure out what the issue is for you deep inside and not project it onto the other, and then we'll be coming into our power and using the power of our mind the right way to ask those specific questions. So yeah, okay, let's go ahead and go to Tuesday. So Tuesday, this chart is set for 3:23 a.m., and that is because Mercury is exactly conjunct Jupiter. So there's an expansion of the mind, an expansion of the ability to communicate. And look how far the moon has come already. And notice you can clearly or more easily see that Eris to the semi-sextile over to Uranus. So remember, Uranus is really a key player this week and beyond to help us build and manifest what we're wanting. And look at these double sextiles and double trines, double aspect of the architect going on with Venus and the Sun to the nodes. So now Venus is helping the Sun unify and bring in something that we really, really want. Helping us to make those comparison values and figure out, does this work? Does that work? What do I, and issues with self-worth with Venus. But I'm sorry, I got distracted over here. The moon kicking up, making a way towards Uranus is really nice because there's enlightenment that will come through. And it could just come through the emotional body in a way that, because we're learning lessons, right? We're in that second decan of the sign, and we're hooking up pretty quickly with some level of enlightenment. So just be open. This is an opening here. I can't say what the message will be for you. The message will be one that can help you expand and grow. That's for darn sure because of Mercury hitting up Uranus. And soon to hook up with Venus, later on as the days go by. But the deal with this Mercury Uranus, that's going to happen soon. And I'm sorry, the Moon to Uranus. So that's a good thing to be aware of, is to look look inside and ask, where do I need to wake up? Or what are you wanting, really? With the moon in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus, Taurus is so much about what do we want, right? Now, with all this curious Gemini energy here, we just want to be careful because this is a really nice aspect of the architect, which is, building something here. And we just really want to be careful with the Gemini energy to not use it the wrong way. So the wrong way to handle Gemini energy would to be aloof and uncaring and self-righteous and not listening to another person and thinking that you know what they're saying without even really listening. And then because of all that, there's this need to be right. So we're in this dualistic trap of needing to be right. Like, what's wrong with being wrong once in a while? It's okay to be wrong. We still love you. Nobody has to be right all the time. That's ridiculous. And And then other times is just, talking about what they think the truth is without taking in another person's views, So, and then on the worst part here, the dark side of Gemini, and that could happen with this, with Mercury and Jupiter, because it's a lot of fast-moving energy and then hooked up to Pluto. You can bet the dark ones, right? The dark politicians and billionaires and judges and, you can bet that they want to take shortcuts. The dark side of Gemini is taking a shortcut. I mean, there really is no shortcut in life. We have shortcuts in traffic here and there, and we have shortcuts when it comes to our keyboards and, whatever. But in life, to unravel the unhealthy ego that needs to be, brought into alignment with the higher self and with the laws of love and all the spiritual laws, there is no shortcut. It happens through your positive intention and all that work to process through false beliefs and clear those things out. And then other times with Gemini, we can, there's not the balance that, like, they're acting maybe on some intuition without checking out the facts. Sometimes that can be tricky. Yeah. And then most of all, I think the hardest part with Gemini on the downside would be that just resisting new ideas because it doesn't align with your belief system, not thinking through maybe what other people are thinking and feeling and all of that, kind of, prejudging a situation just based on your own past experience and doesn't have anything to do with the other person's experience. So, yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and move forward and just note, look how fast Mars, we're getting into Mars and Taurus territory soon. But Wednesday, I set this chart for 5:49 a.m. because that is when the moon connects up to Pluto and connects with Jupiter, the moon conjunct Jupiter. That's pretty powerful. And then to Pluto. Now, Jupiter was already connected to Pluto, but now with the moon there in Gemini, and look at this, that stellium. I mean, 3 planets is the stellium. This is an overload. God. Oh. So, there's going to be so much need. I'm speaking to the moon here in Gemini. So much need to digest a lot of information and try and figure out what's really going on when it comes to people in power, or they think they're really in power, but if they're misusing their power, they're not really in power. They're just going to have some really harsh leadership lessons. But anyway, the moon hooked up with Jupiter can tend to expand the thing, anything. So there's an expansion of the mind. It won't be long before the moon is on the other side of Jupiter and talking to Mercury. So meanwhile, hopefully there's some healing in the mind. Hopefully there's some getting on track to help you understand and learn and communicate and bring in lots of opportunity. Now with Pluto in Aquarius, and we've got the air trine here. This one's fixed. Aquarius is fixed energy, and Gemini is mutable energy. So networking is good under this influence. There's the graceful flow of information in networking. And the other only major aspect this early in the morning is, again, that sesquisquadrate, that, possible detour because you learned some new information. And it might be that it has to do with there's a detour of who you're going to talk to about this or that or learn from, because you're finding that they're counter to what you want to nurture in your life, because Ceres is all about protecting. So there's that. For somebody, it could be a detour in their plans, because the Ceres can also be connected to grief and separation. So, gee, wonder who's headed towards their birthday. Who's the Gemini you can think of that has a June 14th birthday? Maybe some grief and separation from power and money. Influence, I should say, because he doesn't have real power. But anyway, let's see. I think that's good. Let's go ahead and go to Thursday. Here, and here's our Gemini new moon. My mind was going back, wondering if there's any. Yeah, I think it's pretty good, because the moon, we can see already here that the moon has already crossed over Mercury. So I read the whole conglomerate all together. But so here's our Gemini new moon. It's that 5:36, 5:38, 5:38 a.m. Pacific time. Adjust to your time zone. June 6th, and 5:38 a.m. Pacific time. So 16 degrees Gemini. Wherever this lands in your chart, that area of your life, that house, the houses rule an area of our lives. So whatever area of your life that 16 degrees Gemini lands, that's where you'll be the most, it'll be the easiest, and you'll be able to do the most powerful. You have an opportunity to manifest. So like I said, if you started out, the Thursday that I get this today, I get this uploaded, if you start setting your intentions on Thursday, you will have been able to really, really plant some seeds by the time because this is a whole week from today, right? You'd be a week ahead of the game planting seeds as to what you want to manifest when that full moon comes through. Now, sometimes there are big projects that take a lot of time, but man, to have the full moon come in Capricorn, what was it, 1 degree of Capricorn? That can be very, very powerful. So, so just make lots of plans. You plant the seeds, keep making plans, keep up with your affirmations, adjust your affirmations if you find that, you think of a better way to say it, right? And that's it, just keep working it. Just keep working it. So you can clearly see that little semi-sextile going on between Eris. Mars is about ready to move into Taurus. We'll see that, I think tomorrow. And over to Uranus, man, some major breakthroughs can happen in there. Because if you're working the energy well, you can really have the powerful foundation coming in that's new and fresh, and it's innovative. You're reinventing some part of your life. Lovely. That is just really, really wonderful. Okay, so, and you can see that Pluto is still trine Jupiter. So Jupiter is still, there's some powerful expansion coming through as you learn new things. And again, there's that developing foundation, that type of energy there. This will be lasting for some time. And then we have 3 of these sesquisquadrates, or it's also, you can say sesquisquare. I don't know which is easier to pronounce, neither one for me. But look how they're all at 16 degrees. So it's not just the new moon here. We also have the new moon right in between. It's a sandwich to the sun and Venus. But it is giving this challenging, this semi-challenging, it's not that strong of a challenge, but it's there. And the next one would be this is a 135-degree aspect, so the next one would be the inconjunct, which we'll see. And then the adjustment would have to be made. Right now, there's the awareness of the need for an adjustment because maybe something pops up and goes, no. You have to go around that mountain. You don't get to blow up the mountain if you're a dirty politician. You don't get to blow up the legal system. You don't get to demand so much energy from the American public. They are sick of you, dude. Now for us, we can have some new ideas come through that could be very unifying with what we're trying to create. And so what if we have a little detour here? We don't mind. We're going to, and even if it is a little disruptive in our daily schedule, it's okay because we'll find another idea to bring it through because we're in that second decan, of learning lessons. And, or maybe we learn a lesson, or maybe we're learning a new way, or it was always there, but we're now just seeing it with the moon and the darkness of the moon, but the sun is there. And just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just the angle of, in the sky. But what we could learn is how some people are misusing their power. So we could expect something like that to come out in the news today. So, okay, let's go to Friday. Now we have the moon in Cancer. So we've picked up a lot of information. And now we're a little hypersensitive. This comes in at 5:41 a.m. This is Friday, June 7th. And when the moon's in Cancer, our feelings are heightened, and it's a very subjective. It's not objective. It's very personal. But we are integrating something, and we're bringing in opportunities that will help us be more secure, because Cancer wants to be safe and secure. Super sensitive, empathic, safe and secure is the deal. The downside of Cancer can be where we're stuck in the past because of trauma. And so we're kind of fixated in this place where we're not thriving, we're just surviving, and we're in survival fears, right? And then because of that, we can't get out of it's like a frog being stuck in a hole or in a well, and it can't get out. It can be like that, and you're just having to work through your own stuff. And that's especially true because of the square to Saturn, and also the square from Venus. Oh no, I'm sorry. The square, look at me. 29 degrees here, 0 degrees here. The moon is square Neptune. So early this morning, there could be something that comes through dream time, but you're not sure whether to trust it. It could just be something that's clearing. It could be some old survival fears that you realize that you've been holding on to all your life, and it's no longer appropriate. It could also be because of the square coming off of Venus to Saturn, money, survival fears around money. But there's with the Sun and Venus here together in Gemini, there's also the opportunity for some new ideas about how to make money. And it could have you on this learning path because you're figuring out what it is you really want to do for money. Once you get a certain age, it's like there's some things you just won't do. I worked with this one client. I won't say her name because I never do that, but I love her to bits. She said to me, I figured out a long time ago that when I'm trying to decide what to do, I first ask myself, can I do it? And then if I know I can, or I could learn it and then do it or whatever, but then do I want to do it? Can you do it? And then do you want to do it? Because if those two things don't come together, she figured out, because she's very wise, that your whole life force won't, your body won't go with you. There's not enough coming from your spirit to feed your body to do that kind of work. And so you wouldn't be, if you take a job that and you're doing it just for money and you hate it, you're taking away your health. You're taking away the power in your body. So there could be some reckoning with things like that for some of you out there. You might have to start thinking about other ways to make money, because the way you're making it now is just not, it's not feeding your body. It'll feed your bank account, but it won't feed your body. And you need to feed your body because we want you to be healthy and stay healthy. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about Friday. Saturday, now we have Mars. This comes in at 9:35 p.m. It doesn't happen until Saturday night, so this is the buildup into Mars, now into Taurus. So things will calm down. Eris is going to stay in Aries, so we're just, forget about that moving for years and years and years. But Chiron will move on in Aries, and that when we had this whole stellium like we have here, we had it over here in Aries. It was hard. It's too much energy to handle. Nobody was sleeping at night. It's like there's just so much life force coming through, and we were having all those solar flares, those coronal mass ejections, and it was throwing off, satellites and just all types, electrical grid, weather. It was creating weather situations. So now with Mars in Taurus, so remember, Mars is about motivation. Mars helps us figure out, it activates us. It moves energy. So we're talking in Taurus, we're talking body. So again, with Taurus, it's about what you own, what makes you feel safe and secure, what does actually create your security. It's about your money. It's ruled by Venus, so we're talking money. Venus is now at 20 degrees of Gemini, thinking about all kinds of new ways, communicating as to new ways to make money, and get it in alignment with your body, like I was saying. It needs to be something that you love. What was that book? Marcia Centaur. Do what you love, and the money will follow. If you've never read that book, get it. I don't want to yell at you, tell you what to do, but I would suggest that you like it. It's the way there are two authors, Marcia Centaur and Sanaya Roman. They both write so simply and with feelings that it's like those are books you could just read in one day. And you could read them over and over and over as well. Beautiful, simple truth that comes through. So anyway, with Mars and Taurus, just think of moving energy towards what makes you feel safe and secure and does create security. Mars will help us fight for something, right? Mars will help us to feel more enthusiastic, and it's motivation, it's enthusiasm. It can be competitive. It does want to win, but it's mostly about achieving something new. So like I said, body health, soul health, psychological health, body, soul, psyche, and the energy moving towards that stability and security. Remember, Taurus is fixed. It's a fixed sign. And it has that, that steady, driven quality to it. And so Mars will now, it's like that life force. Mars primarily is life force. And first chakra, groundedness into the earth. Grounding will be much easier now that it's not in Aries, that it's in Taurus. So Saturday, this weekend, I think will be a much more calming weekend. And then let's see. We also notice how Chiron and the moon are square each other. This is a cardinal square, fire and water. Might make for some steamy communications. but more so it's about something sensitive. The way we can use this energy for each and every one of us is to listen to our body in a very empathic way. I'm blending the Mars and Taurus too. Listening to our body, opening up to the wisdom of the body that's trying to teach you something, and your body never lies. When things aren't right in our bodies, it's trying to wake us up. At least this is what I believe. You don't have to grab hold of this belief, but I believe that our bodies, well, because of my experience in my own body, has taught me that when something's off in my body, it's trying to help me heal my soul. So the moon in 20 degrees, or I'm sorry, 22 degrees, we're beyond that 20 degree, we're in that third decan. We are deepening our sensitivity, our psychic abilities, our empathic abilities. But the square over to Chiron just brings in that tension field, which is like, okay, can you get inside of your deeper gifts? Or are you still in the dark side of Aries, which is impulsively pushing your energy out and abandoning yourself because you really just want to be first and you can't stand being left out? And instead of, instinctually moving forward in an independent way, there's this demand on life, And if you've got a demand that life meet you in a certain way rather than you adapting to the way life is, you are putting a forcing current out into the universe, and it will be met with like two magnets that are going in the wrong direction, and they push against each other, right? It's not a magnet to a metal, it's two magnets they push against, because that's the way it works when you have a demand. If you have a demand on a person, they'll usually go the other direction or they'll hit you right back. Not physically, but they'll come right back at you. So just think about it in that way. Now, the beautiful side of Aries is to be brave and to be direct, but like I said, assert yourself in very independent ways. Don't abandon yourself. If you don't abandon yourself, you're not going to care if other people abandon you here and there. You're going to find your way. And you'll instinctually know the right way to go, which can be a beautiful experience. And it's like in hindsight, you figure it out. Okay, so we can see we have an exact sextile going on from Ceres to Saturn. Okay, so here's an opportunity Ceres has moved back 1 whole degree already this week, and there's an opportunity now coming in to build something very solid that is much more soft and compassionate and loving and caring, and it's solid with Ceres and Capricorn. So this is, I think this is actually a really, really, really beautiful opportunity here. Just keep thinking about what it is that you want to bring into your life that would create more protection to, it can be something as simple as going through your pantry and pulling out foods that have expired, and maybe figuring out different ways to maybe it might have to do with this, because Saturn rules the bones, Capricorn rules the bones, and then Pisces, there's a sensitivity, there's a real possibility that there's an intuitive, like in the bones type of an experience that helps you understand which foods are best for you, because Ceres is all about food and farming and nurturing. So what nurtures your body, right? Let's see. Okay, now with the double inconjuncts going on to the Sun and Venus up to Ceres, there we are. Remember, I was saying before with those sesquisquares or sesquisquadrates, the seskas. Let's just call them the seskas. we were having the possibility of disruptions. Well, now we're going to have to make adjustments here. So that's why I was feeling like maybe it's just a cleaning out the pantry. It might be something simple like that for someone that's like new ideas. You've learned, maybe we have learned more about what nurtures our particular bodies. You know, like you learn the hard way the things that you can't digest. And maybe it wasn't that way when you were younger, but now it is that you're older, you're more sensitive, and we're learning about those things because, we still have that square. Remember, all this Gemini energy is teaching us something. We're learning, we're curious, and we're open to learning something new. Now that we've got this these two inconjuncts, we are needing to make adjustments if we are to protect ourselves in the future, and if we are to live in harmony, have more opportunity to be sensitive. It's good to be sensitive. Sensitivity and vulnerability are psychic traits that actually turn out to protect you, which would be a summation here of Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Seeing seeing the big picture, Piscean energy is very intuitive, very compassionate, super sensitive. And as long as you take self-responsibility with Saturn, take self-responsibility for your life and how you create your life, that doesn't mean that you have to figure out everything that went wrong in the past and how do you fix that and blah, blah, blah. No, how about let's just, if it comes and you get that guidance, that's great. But don't beat yourself up for the past and don't think that you did anything wrong because the past was awful. Let's just start with today and figure out what we want and work with the obstacles that might come up around having what you want. Like if you don't believe you deserve it, or you think it's too much work, or whatever, then, because we always have to take self-responsibility. And remember, there are no shortcuts. There's a price to pay for everything that we want in our life. There's going to be a disadvantage with every advantage, right? And it's all good. It's just part of adulting. It's that damn adulting again. So, okay, and we can also see the semi-sextile going on here, that gradual effort to build and manifest something coming from Neptune and Mars, which is really beautiful because now Mars is, of course, into Taurus. So, there's that opportunity there to start figuring out what you really want and start working towards it. And with Uranus and Eris together, you're going to have more and more courage. This is really good for women's rights. This is really good for equality. Ceres up here in Capricorn is also really good for women's reproductive rights because Capricorn doesn't take any crap from anybody. And Ceres rules, literally, a woman's reproductive system. Okay? So there's that. Okay, the moon is, you can see in exact, the square to Chiron, so, and I already spoke about that. So I think we're done. Let's go to Sunday. Okay, now the moon's in Leo. I clocked it in at 12:39. Oops, 29? Yeah, 12:29, but, p.m. So it's not Sunday morning. It's Sunday, barely afternoon Pacific, and for sure major afternoon, mid-afternoon Eastern time. But the moon in Leo brings in, and of course it's square Taurus, because Taurus wants to stay safe over here, and it's a little more quiet. But the moon in Leo comes in and says, "Come on, let's have some fun." So anyway, the moon square Mars, it's not very compatible. You've got the emotional need to, the moon in Leo, we have so the moon would be the emotional and feeling need to Leo express ourselves. And it might be kind of like embellishing on the energy and putting things out there, and then Mars over here in Taurus is going like, well, but that's not the way I want to go. I want to go towards making money. I don't need to talk about it. I'm going towards Mars, and Taurus is over here saying, I want to be safe. The moon in Leo is like, oh, come on. It might be really beautiful. It could be a lot of feisty little kid energy that can be really beautiful. But this to me is like the 2-year-old, 3, 4-year-old. And that's just putting Leo moon, putting themselves out there, shining their light, and then mom's over here going, okay, but I want you to sit down and eat this food I made for you. And no, you can't buy that. This would be a teenager over here now with the moon in Leo. And mom's over here saying, no, we have to save our money. We're headed towards saving money. But the moon in Leo over here is, but I want it because it'll make me look better. Right? These kind of just simple things. But usually with the moon in Leo, we can expect that we're getting bigger. Something's getting bigger. There's an opportunity coming up, and it has to do with creating something that we really want. And that is especially true because of the trine over here to Neptune in Pisces. This can be a very beautiful spiritual opportunity coming in over here. And with the trine coming from Mercury in Gemini over to the South Node, this could bring in a relationship from the past that you maybe just got a little separated from for a while, or this could also be a new friend, a new relationship. It doesn't have to be from the past, but it could be. But this seems, the moon in Leo trining Neptune does seem kind of new to me. We're talking fire and water here, and we're talking double air here, all right? But if we can think in terms with the South Node in Libra being ruled by Venus, just think of putting Venus over here, Venus, love, relationship, beauty, unity, all those nice things. And then we're talking about that with Mercury and Gemini. We're learning more about that. So there's a nice easy flow there for Sunday. And yeah, let's see. Taking care of that. The North Node, let's see, this is Mercury. Oh yeah, look at that. The nodes have moved back 1 degree. They're now at 13 degrees, Aries and Libra. And with Mercury there in this exact aspect of the architect, back to the nodes again, man. And in the mid-decan, so midway, so in the second decan, 10 to 19 degrees, 13 degrees of Mercury in Gemini has us really, really learning, because Gemini is all about learning, and that second decan is about learning and getting the lessons in. Now, the Sun and Venus are already in that deepening phase, the third decan, between 20 and 29 degrees. The Sun is still in the second, but barely. So, but still, it's moving quickly. By tomorrow, it'll be an exact. The Sun will conjunct Venus exact. So that'll be nice to look forward to next Monday morning. So the love of learning is what I'm getting here. The love of learning something new. And you will be incorporating the wisdom of the past as to remembering that, all of life is mirroring back to us. Like life is a mirror. Relationships are mirrors. And so we're always learning, but now there's this quest for learning. Now there's this, because we really want to get our lessons, and we really want safety and security. We really want freedom. And there's an adjustment coming off of Ceres and the Sun here still. So there's, that's not bad either. I mean, it's an adjustment to be made because we've learned something new. So this could be information that comes out because it's the sun, right? The sun is shining a light. The sun is helping us to grab hold of some information. It's putting a spotlight, sun spotlight, flashlight spotlight, onto some new information that's coming out. So this could be, even though it's Sunday, it could be a news dump day. For sure Monday will be. And for sure all of next week, because Mercury will move closer and closer and closer to the sun. And it will get into that deepening phase where we've learned something. Interesting times. And the moon has this beautiful trine up to Neptune, like I was saying. So that's really wonderful. This is actually Sunday, would be a very, okay, so Leo, just think of Leo as entertainment. And then Neptune and Saturn, but Neptune especially at the late degree of Pisces. But no matter what sign Neptune's in, Neptune is related to movies, films, things like that. And with all the Gemini energy, this is good for documentaries. Maybe there's going to be a release of a new documentary that's very interesting, or several. There's that possibility, because we've got Jupiter in Gemini too, right? We can expect over this next year to have so much information coming out. This is definitely like documentary energy, because Neptune's not going to move into Aries until March 30th of 2025. But still, there'll be new films, new things coming out. I have to see where the other planets are then. But anywho, suffice to say that Sunday is an awesome movie day. Yeah. Anything else on Sunday? I've already got the moon square Mars. It's looking like the moon will definitely, yeah. I think that, let me put the hours in here and see. Because we're going to have an opposition to Pluto with the moon. There we are, right there. So 2:30 in the evening. Be careful about arguments. You might find yourself at one side or the other. But if it's an argument worth having, because remember, we always have to pick our battles. If it's an argument or a confrontation, an opposition brings through confrontations. If it's a battle worth having, then have it. Pick your side, but also listen to them, because this polarity, Leo to Aquarius, is my way or the highway. One side can sit over here and be very rigid and cranky and clever, and the Leo moon could be over here saying, hey man, I'm just being myself. And then they're being very opinionated and mean, because there's on the dark side of Aquarius, there's no tact like there is in Gemini, right? And Leo's over here maybe wanting to get their way, or maybe it's that old, and this is a pattern for some kids when we grew up, right? So if you had it when you were little, you're going to play it out in relationships when you're older, is to, no matter what, get attention. So if you're even using negative ways to get attention, you're going to get it, but it's not going to be worth it. But it might, if it brings up something, then you could have, because oppositions do bring in the possibility of breakthroughs. So when you have that opposition going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you'll finally work it out. And then maybe this person over here that you thought was so mean and inconsiderate was just being very conceptual, to say the least. And, maybe helping you to create some emotional freedom within. And you didn't have to do all that to get that attention. Or maybe it's the other way around. And you're over here saying, hey, man, that's harsh. You hurt my heart. I'm over here loving you, and you're acting all above it and holier than thou kind of thing. And that's harsh because it's only me over here. It's just me and I love you. Could be that. Could be something like that. It's just me and I love you. Why are you putting on airs? Why are you thinking you need to be better than me or above me or any of that? It's just me. Like, what? Oh, you never know what'll come up in relationships, right? So, okay. Everything else I've already addressed, I think. No, hold on. We have the Sun square Saturn, and and that's building. It's just, well, no, actually, it's separating, but just by minutes. Lessons. So Saturn will always teach us how to master something in our life. So whatever house Saturn is in your chart right now, and it takes about 2.5 years to get through one house, and maybe you're in between, like maybe you're on the cusp, or it just moved into one house, and you just got through that 2.5 years in another house. Anyway, wherever Saturn is in your chart, or whatever house it's occupying now, that's that area of life that you're trying to master. So figure out, you know your chart, and just apply it to the houses. Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Hopefully you're still listening. You haven't shut me off yet. I created a document that lists out in great detail, all the meanings of the houses. So if you want a copy of it, email me at dkdivination@gmail.com, and there's a hot link in my, below this video, below all my videos. And so anyway, hit me up, tell me, please send the houses document, and I will email it right back to you. And then you'll have that. You can always, no matter what house any of these transits are going through, because I won't say every single thing about a house. I'm not even giving any information about the houses when I'm doing these weekly readings, because I don't know your chart, right? But wherever Saturn is transiting through, you are mastering that area of your life. Okay? Let's pretend you have Saturn in the first house right now. You're maturing, you're mastering yourself. The first house is yourself, your identity, yourself. So yeah, and if it's hitting up any other planets, then you merge all those energies too. But anyway, if you want astrology lessons that way, go to my membership section at the lessons level, and you get not only, I think there's 138 videos altogether, but you get not only astrology lessons with all the aspects, houses, the planets, signs, aspects, houses, all of that, and you can apply it to your chart. And then it's such a process of self-discovery. But I also have all the cards, all the tarot with astrology, and I bring in the astrology into tarot and vice versa. And then also Lenormand cards and the Kipper system. And is there anything else? I think there's some specialized videos in there on healing that I threw in there. And I'll do more as time goes by. And you can join for 1 month or 2 months, 3 months. You can join for you can put it on the monthly thing, and then you can unsubscribe at any time or unjoin, and that's it. There's no long contract. It's not proactive though. So if you join and then a week later you unjoin, you won't get that month back, but you'll have it. So, and for me, I think it's a great way to learn, because I have to see and hear and take notes. Like for the things that I'm teaching, if you take notes and you write it down, even though you don't need to in order to get the information, but if you write it down, as to what I'm saying, and you're actually visually seeing, like the cards especially, and the aspects, all the planets, all the different, and the houses. Once you have all that, then, and you've written it down, it gets inside of you, like you really have it. So, okay, well, with that, I am going to get this uploaded and wish you a wonderful, wonderful week. Take good care, you guys. Bye.